A while back, I watched a community do something that made me physically wince. A new member posted in the welcome space. Not a throwaway intro, friends. A real one. She said she was nervous. She said she had joined 3 communities that year and quietly ghosted all of them. And she was really, really hoping that this one would be different. And the response she got within 4 seconds was a cheerful, automated message welcoming her to the community and pointing her to the Start Here guide. That was it. She showed up as a real person and got an autoresponder. Nobody did that on purpose. The founder was busy, the automation looked efficient. On paper, it probably counted as good onboarding, but that member felt something in that moment. Even if she could not have named it, she felt the absence of a person at the exact moment she was checking to see if one was there. That is what crossing the line costs. And here's the part that makes it dangerous. It almost never looks like a disaster. It typically looks like efficiency. In the last episode, I told you there was one line you should never cross with AI in your community. Today, I'm giving you the whole map. A real rule for what is safe to hand off and what to protect with your life. Use AI, but stay human is a nice sentiment and a completely useless instruction. You need to know exactly where the line sits. Let me show you. But before any of that, let me say hi properly. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Community at Heart. I'm Rachel Starr, a Circle expert and the founder of Co-Creator Society. This is the show where we talk about building community-led businesses that scale without the burnout, the hustle, or the doing everything alone of it all. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found us. Sit back, get comfortable, maybe grab yourself a cup of sweet tea. So, we're staying in the AI conversation for a bit because the questions I keep getting are not really about whether to use AI in your community anymore. That part is mostly settled. What people are actually unsure about is where. Where does this help me? And where does it quietly cost me the thing I actually built? That is the whole episode. So let me build the map with you. Here's the first thing I want you to sit with because everything else hangs on it. Not all of the work inside your community is the same kind of work. And most founders, when they finally let AI in, they automate the wrong half. Think about how it usually goes. You're stretched thin. You decide to bring in some help, and the stuff you reach to hand off first is the stuff that takes the most visible time. The welcomes, the replies, the check-in messages, the comments, because those feel like the workload. Those are the things eating your evenings. Meanwhile, the invisible grunt work, the tracking and the remembering and the figuring out who went quiet, you keep doing that part yourself because it does not feel important enough to necessarily delegate. It feels like the small stuff. Well, friend, you have it exactly backwards. The visible, member facing moments are the ones that need you the most. And the invisible background work is the part you should have handed off ages ago. Founders protect the wrong thing. They guard the spreadsheet and they automate the relationship. I did this myself, by the way, in the early days. The first thing I tried to hand off was the welcoming because it was the thing eating my evenings. And it felt efficient for about a week until I realized I had taken myself out of the single best moment. I had to make a new person feel like they belonged. The first hello, the one thing I should have kept. And meanwhile, I'm still sitting there, hard copying member details into a spreadsheet by myself every single week. I had it exactly upside down. I was doing the part a tool could do and handing off the part only I could do. So the entire game is learning to tell the difference on any task. Before you hand it to AI, you need a way to know which side of the line it is on. So here's the test I actually use, and it's really simple, friends. It's just one question. Would a member feel differently about this if they knew a human did not do it? That's the whole test. Sit with any task and ask it, would the person on the receiving end feel something change if they found out a human was not behind this moment? If the answer is yes, that task stays yours. If the answer is no, if they would never know and would not care enough, if they did, well, then it's fair game. Let me run a couple through so you can feel how fast it works. Let's say someone asks, would a member care that AI pulled a list of who joined last week and went quiet? No, they never see that list. They only see what you do with it, which is that you reached out. Fair game. Hand it off. Would a member care that AI wrote the actual message you sent them, word for word, pretending to be you? Yes. Yes, they would care a lot. They thought a person noticed them. That stays yours. Same tool, same afternoon of work, two completely different sides of the line. And the test sorted them in about 3 seconds. One more, so the pattern really sets. Would a member care that AI summarize a 40 comment thread so you could catch up before you replied? No. They just experience you showing up like someone who actually read the whole thing, which you did with a little help. This one's fair game. There's a second version of this question for when the first one feels maybe fuzzy. Does this build trust, or does it cost you trust? Because that is what is actually on the line in every one of these choices. A member who feels personally noticed trusts you a little more. A member who realizes they got a form letter trusts you a little less. You usually will not notice a difference in the moment, but they will. So the line we're drawing today is really about where you let AI near that trust. Now, let me walk you through the safe side because I want you to feel how much is there. This is the part people miss. When you draw the line correctly, you get to automate way more than you think, not less. Everything in the invisible operational layer is fair game. The work the member never directly touches, tracking who joined and who drifted, remembering the context you cannot possibly hold in your head across hundreds of people, summarizing a 40 comment thread you can catch up on in 30 seconds instead of 20 minutes, surfacing the questions that keep coming up, pulling the patterns and what people are struggling with, prepping you before you walk into your own space so you show up informed instead of blind. And here is when people get nervous about, so let me be clear. Drafting a starting point for you is also fair game. AI helping you get unstuck on a piece of writing, giving you a rough first version to react to. That's fine, as long as you understand it gave you a rough start and not a finished thing you can send as is. We'll come back to that because it's where most people slip. Now, notice what all of that has in common. None of it reaches the members directly. The member experiences only the result, and the result is a founder who has more time, more memory, and more presence. That is AI making you more human, which is the whole thing I argued last episode. This layer is not just allowed, it is the entire point. Let me make that concrete because I want you to see how ordinary it is. Say it's Monday morning. Instead of opening your community and bracing yourself, you ask for the lay of the land. What got posted over the weekend? Which threads are heating up? Who asked a question that never got answered? Who is brand new and has not been greeted yet? In about a minute, you have the whole picture that used to take you half a scattered hour to assemble badly. And then you go spend your actual energy on the part that needed you, which is showing up in those threads as yourself. The tool did the gathering. You did the leading. Nobody in your community got a worse experience because of it. They got a better one from a founder who walked in awake. Now, the side you protect. The relational and judgment layer, the work that touches a member directly or decides something about them or carries your actual voice, your voice in anything a member reads, not the prep, the actual words that land in front of a person as they came from you. The real relationships, the back and forth where someone is being seen by you specifically, the sensitive moments, and there are more of these than you think. Somebody shares something hard, somebody's upset, two members are in a conflict, a person is clearly struggling underneath a post, that is technically about something else. I had one of these not long ago. A member posted something that, on the surface, was a question about her offer, but there was a line in the middle of it, almost thrown away, about how she was not sure she should keep doing any of this. If I had a bot triaging my comments for me, that post gets a tiny little tip about pricing and the real moment sails right past. Instead, a person read it, caught the thing underneath, and reached out quietly. That is not a feature you can automate. That is the entire job. And the decisions, who gets removed, how a dispute gets handled, what your community will and will not tolerate, what it actually stands for. None of that goes to a tool. That is leadership. And you do not hand leadership to software. And I want to flag the quiet version of this because the loud ones are easy. Removing a member is obviously yours, but so is the small stuff that sets the tone. The way you respond when someone shares a win, the warmth in how you greet a question that has been asked 100 times before. Those tiny moments are where your community learns what kind of place it is and what kind of person you are as its founder. They feel small enough to automate, which is exactly what makes them dangerous to actually automate. The tone of your whole community is built out of thousands of those, and every one of them, every single one of them should be yours, friend. Every one of those is a moment where trust is on the line. They are the moments where a member finds out who you really are and whether this place is safe. Automate one of those and you do not save time. You lose something you honestly cannot easily get back. Now, somebody is already pushing back in their head. So let me take the objection head on. Is a fast automated welcome not better than a slow human one or no welcome at all? I understand the logic, and the answer is still no, not for the moment that actually matters. Speed is not the thing a new member is testing for. They're not timing you. They're trying to find out if there is a real person on the other side of this, someone who will notice them. A 4-second robot reply does not pass that test. It fails it faster. A human hello 2 hours later, even a short and imperfect one, tells them the truth they were actually asking about, which is yes, someone is here. And there's a both and version of this that is the real answer. Let the system flag the new members for you the second they arrive, so nothing ever slips through. And then you bring the human hello. Fast notice, human response. You do not have to choose between caring and keeping up. That is the entire premise of drawing this line well. Now I have to talk to you about the gray zone because this is where good, careful people still go wrong, and it is drafting things. AI can draft. I just told you that. The trap is what happens next. You ask for a draft of a welcome or reply or community post. It gives you something usable. You're tired. It's close enough. And you send it without really making it yours. And in that one move, the thing that was helping you write quietly became the thing writing instead of you. It stopped being your draft and started being its words. I've caught myself right on the edge more than once, tired, a draft sitting there at about 80%, and a little voice going, just send it, it's fine. The times I listen to that voice are the ones I look back on and cringe a little. I mean, who are we kidding? I cringe a lot because I can feel exactly where I phoned it in. And if I can feel it, the member on the other end probably could too. Here's the tell. If you would be even a little embarrassed for the member to know those exact words came out of a machine untouched, it's not done, that embarrassment is information. It means the draft crossed from helping you into replacing you, and you can feel it. So the rule in the gray zone is simple. On anything a member will read, AI can get you started, but you have to finish it yourself. Every time you rewrite it until it actually sounds like you, until you would be happy to put your name on it and mean it. So let me pull the why up to the surface here because I do not want this to feel like a list of rules. It is one idea. Your community runs on trust. That is the actual asset, not your content, not your features, not your tech stack. Trust is the thing that makes someone renew and refer a friend and post the vulnerable intro instead of the safe one. It is the thing everything else depends on. And every choice you make about AI either builds that trust or cost you some of it. When you point AI at the invisible work, it builds trust because it hands you back the time and attention to show up better for the moments that matter. When you point it at the relationship itself, it costs you because you have to let a tool stand in for you in the one place a person needs to be. So the line is not really about AI at all. It is about being deliberate with the one resource your whole community was built on. Use the tool everywhere it builds trust. Keep it away from anywhere it would cost you that trust. That's the whole roadmap, friend. And once you see it this way, a lot of the anxiety drains out of the whole AI question. You stop asking whether AI is good or bad for your community because that was never the right question. The right question is where. Put it where it helps. Keep it away from the moments that need a person, and the tool stops being something you're scared of and starts being the reason you have the time to be present for the parts that are only yours to do. And honestly, I think this should make you feel lighter, not more restricted, because a lot of you are carrying this low grade guilt about whether using AI at all makes you a fraud. It doesn't, friends. Using it on the invisible work is not the inauthentic part. The only way to be inauthentic here is to hand over the relationship. So once you know what to protect, you can let go of the guilt about everything else. And you can automate freely with a clear conscience, knowing the human core is exactly where it should be, yours. So here is what I want you to take with you. The next time you're about to hand something to AI, run the one question. Would a member feel differently if they knew a human did not do this? Let that sort it, protect what needs protecting, and then automate the rest without apologizing for it. That's the whole skill. Using AI on purpose in the places that help you and keeping it out of the places that matter most. And here's the quiet permission underneath all of it. You're allowed to use the tool. You were never going to lose your community by letting AI track who went quieter or summarizing a long thread. You only lose it by handing over the moments that were the whole reason people came in the first place. So protect those fiercely and then let yourself off the hook for everything else. There is nothing lazy about that. It's just running your community with a clear sense of what stays human. If you want to actually build this into how you run your community with the real workflows and the line drawn for you, that is what we do inside Co-Creator Society. It's where I teach this hands-on so you can stop guessing your way through your circle community and start running it like the leader you already are. Come find us when you're ready. Next week, I want to take this one step further because there is a version of this where you draw the line perfectly and AI still does not fix your community. And the reason why is going to be uncomfortable, friends. So I'll see you for that one. Take care of yourselves this week, the structural kind and the kind that holds. See you next week. Bye, friends.